Hey guys, good news, because yesterday Fender released a new firmware update for the Tone Master Pro. It has a lot of new stuff, some new stomp boxes, new effects, new functionalities, bug fixes, impedance curve modeling in the IR block, which is something we've all been waiting for, and a bunch of new amplifiers, including 2 high-gain amplifiers. And in this video, we're going to focus primarily on those new amplifiers and also check out the new impedance curve feature in the cab block. And while we're at it, we're also going to compare those 2 new high-gain amp models to my real amplifiers over here. So one of the new amp models is based on the orange Rockerverb 50 Mark III, which is what I have over here. So we're going to compare those later in the video. And the other new amplifier is based on the Soldano SLO100, and I have the SLO30 over here. So we're going to compare them and have some fun, okay? And I have to admit right up front, Fender, I am impressed. Because I don't know if you guys know, but in the past I wasn't super impressed with some of the models in here, mainly the Fender EVH models. Whenever I compared those models to my real EVH amps, they just fell short. But I'm always excited to try new stuff, and when I tried these new models, I was very, very pleased. So I'm very glad to say that, and I think that Fender is doing great things with these updates. So along with the new amp models, they also made some new stock cabinet models, including an orange 4x12 cabinet and a Soldano cabinet. And they also added a bunch of new other cabinets as well. But of course, since we're focusing on these 2 amp models, we're going to stick with those 2 cabinets and also compare them to some ML SoundLab IRs and also check out the new impedance curve modeling. Now, they did add a bunch of impedance curve options for a bunch of different types of cabinets. And that really helps to fine-tune the response and sound of your own IRs that you load into the unit. So that's really helpful for getting the most out of that feature, so the IR loading feature. So when I plugged my guitar into the unit and tried the new amp models, those 2 amp models, because there are also 2 Supro amps added, I believe, which are, Fender combo style amps. Not really my thing. But when I plugged in my guitar, immediately I was like, okay, this sounds good. This sounds good. So first I want to give you an impression of that. Just my guitar into the unit, playing a couple of chords, playing a couple of very simple riffs, and just trying the new amp models with one of the stock cabinets as well as an IR. And then I'm also going to browse through some of the impedance curves so you guys can hear how those affect the tone. And the guitar that I'm going to use is my ESP Ltd EC1000T CTM in vintage gold satin with the Fishman Fluence Will Adler set in it. And note that the IRs that I'm using from ML SoundLab, for the SLO or the solo model, I'm using the ML Mega OS Almighty IR, which is excellent. And then for the orange amp model, I'm using an IR that I made myself in the Miko 2 plugin by ML SoundLab, and that's based on an orange cabinet. So that should be a fun comparison as well. Okay, let's go ahead and take a listen. So as you could hear, that sounded pretty good. They both sound thick. They both sound pretty organic. The gain structure is nice. There wasn't really anything about those tones that made me say, meh, that sucks. No, it just sounds really good. So yeah, again, I'm impressed. It's not like all the other amp models sucked or anything like that, but you know, in comparison to the EVH models, I think that the new models based on these amplifiers sound really good. Now, to clarify, the solo model in the new update isn't based on the SLO30, but on the SLO100. But I can tell you that they do sound pretty close. The preamps are identical, but the power section is a little bit different. So this one has less headroom, obviously, and it's a little bit more squishy. And the SLO100 will have a bit more of a forward sound in the mids. A bit more chunky and kind of tight, I guess you could say. And I also have to say that the graphics of the new amp models, they look really nice. So that's a feature that I've always appreciated about the ToneMaster Pro. I just really like the interface and how you can tweak the amp model both on the touchscreen, but also with the very sturdy foot switch controls. All right, so what we're going to do now is compare the rockerverb model to my real rockerverb, which is the exact same version, okay? And what I'm doing for this comparison is I'm running the orange Rockerverb 50 Mark III through my RedSeven Amplification Amp Central reactive load, which has an impedance curve that is just a kind of great general curve, kind of based on a V30 and a greenback. Now, the sounds that we're going to get out of the ToneMaster Pro won't be exactly the same because the impedance curve on the RedSeven is a custom impedance curve, and they all sound a little bit different. So maybe the ToneMaster Pro will have a little bit more or less top end, or a little bit more or less bottom end, or has a bit more of a mid scoop or a mid bump. That could be the case, but we're just going to see how the results are. And I'm going to use some riffs that I recorded with my Gibson Les Paul Custom. And again, this time for both the amplifier and the orange Rockerverb amp model, I'm going to use that ML SoundLab IR that I created in Miko 2 from the orange 4x12 cabinet. Okay, let's take a listen. Okay, again, I'm impressed. That sounded really close. Wow, okay. I wasn't expecting that, but I'm just very pleased and I'm kind of proud of Fender, you know. I think they're doing great things and obviously they are doing the right things, which is just awesome. Really cool. And the differences were really minor. Some small differences here and there, and basically most of those differences could be because of the difference in impedance curves, okay? Now let's compare the solo model, which is based on the SLO100 by Soldano, to my Soldano SLO30. Same setup, same load box, all the same principles apply. We're using a different IR, as I mentioned before, the ML Mega OS Almighty IR, which is based on a 4x12 Mesa Boogie oversized cabinet. All right, let's go ahead and take a listen. Same guitar, check it out. Great, great stuff. So it wasn't as close as the orange, but it sounded pretty darn good. And again, obviously this is the SLO30 and the model was based on the SLO100. So that could be one of the reasons for the slight differences in tone, but also stuff like the impedance curve and all that stuff. So either way, even though there were some small differences, I thought that the Tone Master Pro sounded pretty great. The rockerverb was closer to my ears anyway, but yeah, the solo sounds good too. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked about the Tone Master Pro for the first time in a while, to be honest. I really enjoyed the unit when I did my first review and demo. And then when I started to compare it to my EVH amps, I was just a little bit bummed out. But now that I have these new amp models in here and some new effects that I've yet to try, I'm just excited, you know. Now the new impedance curve modeling in the IR block is great. It's not perfect. They could add a little bit more impedance curves in my opinion. I mean, the ones that I tried, the Jubilee Greenback and the Jubilee V30, which happened to be my favorites, those were pretty great, but the Mesa Boogie 4x12 V30 impedance curve was pretty dark and very boomy to my ears. So maybe some of them need to be fine-tuned a little bit, and maybe, you know, some of them need a little bit more top end, for example. But if they add a couple more to choose from, that would be even better. So again, not perfect yet, but I'm just very happy that they added this feature. And again, my favorite so far is the Jubilee V30 impedance curve, or the Greenback, which is a lot brighter and louder, as you probably could hear in my playthrough demo. One thing that also annoyed me a little bit is that there was no level control in the cabinet block, so the stock cabinet block. A little bit annoying, so I had to use like a level boost pedal after the signal chain to boost the level a little bit, but just some minor things. Anyway, I didn't try any of the other new features. I just wanted to focus on the new amp models and the impedance curve modeling and all that good stuff. So that was what this video was about, but obviously there's a lot more to unpack when it comes to the new update. I'm stoked. I'm impressed. I'm happy to say that because, yeah, it's a cool unit and I'm just very glad to see that it's getting better and better now. And I'm excited to see what they do with the next update. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I sure did. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of these new amp models? And do you think that Fender is going in the right direction with this? Let me know. Please also hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, as that really helps the channel out. I'd usually appreciate it. You can also go to my Ko-Fi web store where I sell quad cortex captures and all that good stuff. And you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers.